Miracle Creek.
Miracle Creek.
This is Miracle Creek.
Miracle Creek.
Miracle Creek.
Miracle Creek by Angie Kim.
Trigger warnings for Miracle Creek by Angie Kim include sexual assault, descriptions of burn victims, death, child death, explosion and fire, infidelity, infertility, negative thoughts about special needs children, the notion that children with autism need to be cured, suicide, and child abuse. Miracle Creek came out April 16, 2019. It's a debut novel by Angie Kim following the Yu family as they've just immigrated from Korea to a small town in Virginia. Here is where they've invested in an experimental treatment intended to help heal anything from cerebral palsy to autism to even male infertility. The story opens in the middle of one of these treatment sessions, referred to as a dive throughout the novel. Anxiously young, the wife to the submarine owner is looking for batteries so that a patient with autism can continue to watch Barney, his favorite show, and finish the dive. But by the time she finds the batteries and is headed back to the submarine, things are a little too late. She steps outside her door to see her daughter Mary and her husband Puck running towards the submarine. This is when she realized that the submarine is on fire and that there are 4 or 5 people sealed inside with 100% oxygen flowing directly to their heads, and Mary and Pack are rushing right to them to get them out. But the question is, who would set fire to the submarine? Was it the owner? Was it the protesters constantly harassing them during their sessions? Was it the mother of a boy undergoing these treatments? Or was it someone completely unknown? We flash forward 1 year and see Elizabeth Ward on trial for arson and for murdering her own child and for murdering the mother of another child. The book spends time in the present, directly in the courtroom, where we hear brilliantly woven together arguments to both save and blame Elizabeth. We also go back in the past and we get the inside personal look at what happened that August in 2008, where everyone was, and what kind of feelings or motives they may or may not have had. Everything weaves together as the book goes along. Angie Kim herself has said in almost every interview that I have watched about this book that this book is not only a whodunit, but also a why and howdunit.
And so then there's a trial to discover who did this and why and how. And so in one sense, the novel is a how and who and why done it. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm hoping that it's a device to allow the readers to take a deep dive into the lives of these groups of people.
What happens in the beginning of this novel is that a group of patients are sealed inside this HBOT chamber, and somebody deliberately sets fire by the oxygen tanks outside, which causes an explosion and creating this uncontrollable fire, and people die. And then there's a murder trial. So in one sense, the book is a whodunit / howdunit / whydunit. You are reading to figure out who set the fire and how did they set the fire in a way that's consistent with what everybody is telling you. So not just figuring out who, but like how does it all fit together? And then the why done it, like why would anybody do this? And we as the readers become the jurors along with the real jurors, well, fictional jurors in the story, and we try to figure that out.
Ever since Miracle Creek hit the shelves in your local Barnes & Nobles, it's taken the world by storm. In 1 year, this book has received 34,358 ratings and a total of 5,311 reviews on Goodreads. This book has featured in places like the Washington Post and New York Times. But what is it that makes everyone love this book so much? I wanted to include community voices in this review for this book, so I want to go ahead and include them in on this video too.
you know that I actually ended up reading quite a few new releases last year, but the best one of them would have to be Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. This procedural dramatic thriller swept me off my feet and not only kept me guessing for most of the novel, but also made me think about a lot of things I haven't considered before. It's a gripping story, it's thought-provoking, it has great characters, it tackles a lot of difficult topics that have to do with parenthood, family, community, immigration, starting over, a lot of stuff, and it is really unlike anything I've read before.
What I really liked about this book is I felt like you got into the characters' heads. It just felt a lot more real than a lot of thrillers. I feel like a lot of times when you read these kind of mystery thrillers, like some of them are just kind of crazy. Like they're just a little bit over the top. And the next book I'm going to talk about, The Guest List, I feel like these books are kind of polar opposites. I enjoyed both of them, but this one just feels more real. Like it feels like you're actually getting to know like real characters and real people that are like multi-dimensional.
So it was really good. I thought it was really well written, and I really liked that the perspectives of the characters were very different from perspectives that you see normally. I really appreciated the insight that the book gave. I did, once I got about 2/3 of the way done, I was like, I just want to know who did it. I just want to know what happened. So I kind of rushed through the ending a little bit just because I needed to get there. But definitely recommend if you like that courtroom drama type book.
It was really hard for me, and I wept in unexpected places because her son really reminded me of my own, because he wasn't severely autistic. The boy Henry that is killed in this book, he is mildly autistic, and that's kind of used as a plot device for villainizing the mother. Like, why would she kill her son that really wasn't that difficult of a child to begin with? Was she really that crazy? Was she really that villainous? Like, down to details where like Henry has a missing tooth and you can see the adult tooth poking through, and like my son has that right now. It's just one of those things.
In these clips, people amongst the community are talking about just how real and raw everything felt in this book, how not fake it felt, and I definitely have to agree with that. In fact, it's what I like the most about this book. The fact that this honestly gives everyone a free pass to not be so damn hard on ourselves for being human and for having shameful thoughts. Just the fact that we as human beings are not perfect. We have flaws, and this does lead into motherhood specifically. This book focuses on mothers so heavily, mothers of children with special needs and mothers of children who are not special needs. There are plenty of instances where we are inside the heads of the moms in this story. We see glimpses of a mother with a daughter who has cerebral palsy. She is often expressing how jealous she is of other moms with daughters who are healthy. How she would give anything back to rewind time and get her daughter treatment fast to prevent cerebral palsy from taking over her life. And with a society that we live in, where mothers are expected to be the backbone of our future leaders all the time and to never express a negative feeling about their children or their life situation, this provides the harsh reality that we as mothers do sometimes wish things were different. But that doesn't ever make you a bad mom, because Teresa is also expressing so much love towards her daughter. And if we flip this around, Young, who has a daughter without any special needs, goes through a period of time where her daughter has been harmed by the explosion, and she expressed so much envy for love that Teresa is able to give her daughter that Young can't give Mary. It really goes to show that most mothers love their children no matter what happens to them, but still have these negative emotions toward their children or their life circumstances or other mothers. But we are human, and as humans we cannot let ourselves let these emotions distract from what is really important: loving your children, your family, your friends. Overall, to me, the core of this book explores the complexity of being human and being a mother in all instances from all cultures. It showed me that moms typically speak the same language no matter where you're from. And as someone who is a mother myself, I really felt that. I felt it deep and with so much emotion. I felt so strongly for Young as she struggled to have a connection with her teenage daughter. I felt it strongly for Teresa, who is constantly putting guilt on herself for something she ultimately had no control over. And I felt it for Elizabeth, as she sat on trial accused of murdering her own child because she was burnt out and lost as an individual, and could have been there a little more. And while I thought the humanness of these characters were a blazing 5 stars, I do have a couple of cons to share with you. To be quite frank about it, I wasn't able to find much discussion on these things, and they are likely criticisms due to the book being a debut. And they are likely extremely minuscule in comparison to the rest of the book. But I'll start with the description of the book itself. It reads, "Was it the careless mother of a patient? Was it the owners hoping to cash in on a big insurance payment and send their daughter to college? Could it have been a protester trying to prove the treatment isn't safe?" I went in a bit curious about the protesters mentioned in the synopsis itself, but was disappointed to not hear much about them. They are introduced to us in an almost small confrontation between some of the mothers as they are headed for a dive with their children. But then it isn't mentioned very much again after that, only in passing. And with some of the things that are mentioned throughout the book that they do, I was a little confused why they didn't play much of a larger role in the book itself and the trial itself. To me, and take it with a grain of salt, it felt very much like they were included in the beginning to spice the novel up, but slowly faded away from the entire story. I finished the book and wondered why they weren't a larger part of this. Even if they don't do the crime, I would have loved to see them questioned, because this would have gone into the territory of should autism be something we should want to quote-unquote cure. The protesters could have been a perfect launching board to that discussion, and I personally was a little upset that we didn't see more of that discussion. I really don't have any other faults with this book though. Overall, it was really well written, and Angie Kim did an absolutely superb thing for women and other mothers struggling every day to keep their sanity intact as they just try to do what they think is the right thing. I struggled over the last few days on what I should rate this book. I settled on 4 out of 5 stars. I almost rated it a 3.5 stars. But I considered the fact that this was her first book, and I gave it some grace, and just because this book was honestly a real hit for being her first ever book. I'd love to continue the discussion in the comments, or on Twitter, or Instagram, or anywhere else you can get a hold of me. So let me know what you thought about this book, or if the video has made you want to pick it up for yourself. I'd love to know. Of course, I'd like to give a very special thank you to any YouTuber who is in this video. Without the people online making other videos, I would not be able to make this style of a video for you guys. So definitely check them out. I will have all of their links and videos and social media linked down below. Go show them some love. Go ahead and give this video a subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and ring the bell if you don't want to miss an upload. As always, my social medias will be listed down below, so check that out while you're down there too. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll chat with you in the next one. Bye.